Welcome to the DegenCast. I'm your host, Meow Meow, and today with me are Defi Degen
What's up?
and Ian.
Hey guys.
And before we start, smash that subscribe or follow button, depending on where you listen to us. And today's podcast is brought to you by Expanse, the highest paying fixed API and DeFi. Welcome, season 2. So, I think we should just start from some topics. Let's talk about
It's a big one.
inflation.
That's the big one.
Mhm.
It's crazy here. We go to the grocery store. There's kind of two schools of thought. You kind of do the European style where you just kind of get what you need for the day, or you go every week or every other week or whatever. We go every week.
Yeah.
And it's turned out now where I'm going every week, but then a couple times throughout the week to just fill in. And today I spent $95. I got some bottled water, some hot dogs. I was grilling, so I got a bag of chips, some hot dogs, some bottled water, just a few random things, like a small bag of dog food, and just a few random things. And it was almost $100. It is absolutely crazy.
Oh, dude,
I think
like we do it European style in my house, and like
so every day you're dropping $100 then, or whatever.
over that, like 125, 140, 150. Sometimes it's getting crazy, and I'm gonna have to just go to like the other way. But I cannot think of like what I want for dinner that far in advance.
And I'm telling you, we're starting to like have serious conversations about we should meal prep because you can save money by meal prepping. We use like rewards credit cards that give you 5% back when you go shopping and all. It's wild, man. And these are things that I've always been fortunate and had a good career, and I've been relatively successful in my career. And these are things that I hate to say it, I've never really had to think about before. And now, like legitimately, I've got to think about these things in order to make ends meet, more or less.
Yeah, and see, I think like you and me, for like as long as I've known you, we've always been relatively comparable lifestyles and whatnot, jobs and shit like that. But it's weird because we've always known we've had friend groups, you and I, where other people are doing fairly poorly, right? And
Yeah.
they're struggling, and there's a lot of people like that. I mean, we're struggling, so just imagine how they're struggling now.
Oh, I understand. The town I live in, it's interesting. It's about half of the people are significantly above the median state average income, and half the people are below the poverty level. So
Same
there's
here,
a big
100%.
divide.
No, it's that way here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see like the kids. My kids start school again soon, and it's tough to watch because some of the kids, now school lunches are free and breakfast is free now, which is I don't know how that started or why, but that's awesome. They can do that.
That's ever since
there was
COVID.
kids. That's great, then. That's good they're doing it. But used to kids wouldn't eat, man. It was terrible, and I can only imagine how much worse it is now. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know how people do things like afford a car. So
Right. Especially now.
My dad sold. It sounds like we're plugging all these people. Paramount Plus, and then GimmeTheVin.com, which is another thing. I listen to a lot of radio, a lot of sports talk radio, and they have a show that's on on Saturday morning on one of the sports stations I listen to. But my dad sold his pickup truck to them. He had a new Ford Ranger pickup truck. He sold it to them more than he paid for it 18 months ago.
Yeah, I bet.
And he went to buy. He wanted something smaller. I don't know. He's really particular about this, but he ended up getting like one of those. It's a Dodge ProMaster, so it's like a Ford Transit van, but it's smaller. That's what he wanted. It was lower to the ground, so he could put stuff in it. That's what he wanted. But anyway, he bought one yesterday, 135,000 miles, $25,000. And it's just wild. It's wild how much everything is going for right now.
Well,
and I don't understand how
those,
people are going to survive it.
Have you seen the dealer markups on some of these stickers, though?
Oh man, that's what we were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
Yeah.
The Ford
Yeah, that's
Lightning
right,
that
yeah.
was 40,000 over, and you found a Bronco that was 40,000 over, and
Yep.
these aren't like that Bronco. That was like a base model, right? That wasn't like the Trailmaster or whatever they call it.
No.
That was a base model that they slapped 40,000 on. And not to get too far off topic, but Ford's trying to address it, and good for them. I hope they do, because it's ridiculous. I don't know how people are going to be able to buy cars if dealerships keep it up. I'm all for free market, and I'm probably the biggest capitalist. You and I are certainly big into that, and I'm all for Ford doing something about that, because it's ridiculous, and I'm a Ford
Oh, it's
guy.
crazy.
So,
You know,
It's crazy.
guys.
well, what are they
cars
what are they going to do though? So this inflation bill, or whatever they're calling it, that's recently passed in the Senate, where Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote, which I thought was interesting. I'll be completely honest here. I did not realize the vice president was anything more than just kind of a ceremonial type of thing.
Oh,
I
you
guess I
didn't
knew
realize
they
that
did.
they're the tiebreaker?
I think I knew they did. I just don't ever remember them doing anything like that.
Oh, I do. Yeah, but
I always thought it was I just thought they just kind of presided over things and set up that little chair kind of in the middle. But what does this mean? I mean, you go read about it, and it's something like $300 billion in it, and I don't know where the inflation stuff comes in, but the headlines say it's focused on the environment and I guess a few other things. And then I saw that the Congressional Budget Office, or whatever that nonpartisan group is, said, look, it
okay.
has a negligible effect on inflation. So what is it doing?
Well, here's the thing. Isn't this the funny thing about politics, right? Is how you can call something the Inflation Reduction Act, but it's like maybe it doesn't even do that. But then if someone votes against it, they'd be like, well, they voted against reducing inflation. And it's just all of a sudden it's this like, just kind of completely bullshit thing, actually sticks in like basic people's minds.
It's like
I don't know.
saying you're either pro-life or pro-abortion. I think there's
Right.
some
And
liberty taken with the description.
well, and like about this particular bill that you were talking about, even Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders loves nothing more than spending money by the government.
Yeah.
And even he said this will not reduce inflation.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard him say we shouldn't spend money on that. We need to add this to his official title at some point.
Can I?
But the joke, we'll share that with everybody at some point. But
Wait,
Guys,
what, Mia?
I have just one important question. It just still I cannot understand how investing in fight with climate change can help reduce inflation. I just don't get it.
It can't. In fact, it'll probably do the opposite, because it'll probably tax fossil fuels or do something like that. So
Tax fossil fuels. Okay, great. Meaning that logistics going to be more expensive than even now.
right, exactly. Yeah. So it does the opposite.
Why?
That's a good question. What is the purpose of this bill?
Exactly.
What
That's if you want to reduce inflation, right? If you want to reduce inflation, you should to at least try to somehow support people, right? Not like dropping airdrop, helicopter money, like
right.
like they did during the COVID, right? But actually subsidize food industry.
Well, so
Let's
okay.
start from basics.
So then are we all in agreement then that the Inflation Reduction Act is just a name that has nothing to do with the actual intents and purposes within this bill?
yeah,
How
so
your
I've
side
Googled this.
or
It says the big contributing factors here, the big things this tries to address, is lowering the cost of prescription drugs. A very noble intent. We talked a
all
little
right.
bit ago about how I'm really big into capitalism. But I think this is one area where capitalism should
No,
scale back a bit, is in drugs. I'm all for that one. Tax reform. What does that have to do with anything? What does lowering prescription drugs have to do with inflation? It doesn't make sense.
no, nothing.
No, nothing.
So
It's just trying to solve absolutely useless problems and
well, one other thing that this bill does is I believe it doubles the enforcement wing of the IRS. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but correct me if you know, Ian.
Yeah, I'll look that up. I don't see it here. That wouldn't make any sense either. I guess
Well,
the argument is if they're not collecting what they should be from the
right. Yeah.
from people, that affects inflation. Sure, probably to some degree, but
Tax even more people.
I mean,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where it's like, who was it? Was it Josh Hawley came out the other day and wants to remove firearms from the IRS enforcement division? Because they recently
Yeah.
made some crazy large purchase of firearms. And,
Yeah, a bunch of ammo or something, right? Like $80,000 or $800,000 in ammo or whatever it was.
yeah, just something
yeah,
crazy.
You know this meme, FBI open up and there's like FBI group breaking into the house, right? We should change it to IRS open up.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it's going.
Does the FBI ever enforce anything for the IRS?
I
they ever?
don't know. I mean, I would imagine like a lot
I
of
guess they
times.
could investigate tax fraud, right?
Well, they probably wouldn't. Maybe I think it would have to be like a
Something complex.
non-IRS crime, like money laundering or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like a lot of times when federal agents pull up to anything, you'll have FBI, U.S. Marshals, sometimes even Secret Service if there's money involved, like actual cash money, things like that. So, I mean, they
So,
Yeah.
all work.
So this here says.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just this here says they've proposed to increase the budget by almost 50%. I don't know if this article's good or not. I mean, it's
Wow.
on
And
Forbes. It's very
that's
obscure.
part of this bill, right?
How?
Yeah.
Okay,
Enforcement,
hold
$45 billion.
The only way, okay, there are like few ways how you can increase the national's budget, right? One of them is to increase taxes. Second one is to increase taxes on selling some goods. It's no other way.
Well, and that's, I mean, this bill is a significant tax increase. That's what it is. And the irony, of course, is that, you have a lot of Joe Biden's supporters that have been sitting waiting for their student loans to be canceled. And
good luck with that.
well, and now they're not going to get that, but they're going to get increased taxes. So
good luck with that. So in result, people have less money, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What is the definition of a recession?
Well, it used to be, wasn't it?
Two quarters of negative GDP growth.
Yes. Yeah. 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. Yes.
And they've since amended it to say 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, unless there's really great
job
numbers.
performance. But
Yeah.
and see, first of all, I don't know. That's a pretty powerful thing we just witnessed, right? Like somehow, some special interest or some political group was able to immediately whitewash the traditional old school definition of a word in favor of their political agenda. That's something I've never really seen before. Super interesting, super crazy, but it's almost
First
like you have to be like, wow, like good job, like you have to give them credit for that because
guys,
the way that they did it.
First time, huh?
Well, hold on. Listen, Mr. Russia, just hold on. This is a new thing for us. So, but then
enjoy.
Yeah, but then also it's like, now it's kind of cheating too because the job growth is not real job growth. Like, first of all, we have a lot of people who lost jobs during the pandemic. So some of those jobs are now coming back, of course. That's going to be a huge influx in the job market. But
Well,
number
why
two,
wouldn't you count that though?
well,
I mean,
wait.
we count it as lost jobs.
Sure. But number two, a lot of this jump in new employment is also people taking on second jobs. So one thing that you have to consider here, like, sure, we should definitely count these things as job growth, but that doesn't change the fact that we're still in a recession because this job growth is completely unrelated because it's stimulated by all of these other outside influences.
Yeah, what's always interesting to me, and we talked about this years ago, Degen, a long time ago. with our buddy Beer years ago. We were talking about him in chat a minute ago, but we used to talk about this often. Is crypto? I've always been no secret about it. I always liked as a kid collecting coins, and then when I became an adult with adult money, I started buying things like bullion, like silver coins and gold coins and stuff like that. I did that because I thought it was cool. I was neat. I was, doing stuff I wanted to do as a kid. Couldn't afford it as a kid, but now I can. And but it's also a good hedge against inflation, or so we thought, right? I mean, I always said that. I think really what I said was I think of it more of a store of value rather than a hedge against inflation. But those may be synonyms for each other. But it's interesting to see what's in crypto. I thought of it as the same way. I've always thought of crypto as kind of a hedge against inflation because it's its own kind of currency, neutral of any other fiat currency.
Well, and see, on the surface, a lot of people really do believe that, and I think that there's a lot of truth to that. But at the same time, I think too many people expect that to mean once legacy markets crash, crypto immediately bounces up.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to work that way, and gold has not responded that way either. So, I think that one thing we're going to see is that the fact that we have more hedges now means that those things become, like you said, more of a store of value as opposed to just
what I would argue is why it's happening is because I think of all the paper trading going on. I think the paper trading of everything causes all of this to more or less normalize into one just big melting pot of something, whether it be dollars or Bitcoin or silver or gold or palladium or platinum or whatever you want to
mind leverage too. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's wild.
I mean, everybody's over leveraged, and that's part of the problem. But
so without admitting I was wrong, I'm kind of admitting that I was wrong.
Well, I don't think you were necessarily wrong.
I just always thought they would trend opposite of each other for the long haul. I thought they would. Now maybe this is just a short-term deal.
Exactly. I think it is for the long haul still the proper hedge. And I think that we'll find that over time things like Bitcoin will long term probably look more like a gold type of hedge. But it's obviously much more volatile. Obviously, it has much more up and down potential. You can get wrecked a lot easier, but I think over the long time, it's going to have similar, patterns to it.
Performance, yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I guess I just wouldn't have expected it to go the way it's going right now. We look at silver. Silver's $20 an ounce. Gold is around 1,800 an ounce, and it's all been kind of stagnant for just a long time. So
I mean, the pattern, I was actually looking at the daily chart, or no, the weekly chart on both gold and silver earlier today. And, but it definitely has, aimed upwards since we've been tumbling towards recession. So I think we really just need to look how it is at the end of this and kind of look back in retrospect and see how it did.
A coworker of mine used to tell me, I always used to kind of equate, and you can even throw oil in the mix too. If you look at the price of a barrel of oil,
it's just commodities in general.
Right. Yeah, just another commodity you can compare it to. And I remember talking to an old. He's retired now, but I have known this man since I was a little bitty boy. But he used to always joke. He was like, "Well, why don't you compare the price of asphalt to pizza? Because none of that stuff makes sense." And I always thought he was crazy for saying that, but right now he's right. Right.
Oh, and I mean, and I think when it comes to commodities, a lot of people do say it's like one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, and we always price Bitcoin in U.S. dollars, but do you really know what's going on behind the scenes with the actual U.S. dollar, the Federal Reserve, and all this other shit that's just going nuts right now? So,
yeah, it's a good point. One Doge is one Doge. I see that all the time on the Dogecoin subreddit.
Yeah. And so, but speaking of Bitcoin, crypto, back to Solana. Yeah, back to that.
Solana.
So what was the deal with the Solana hack? It wasn't actually a hack, was it?
Well, I guess because they accessed the
against Solana. I'm sorry.
Right, it was not a hack against Solana. It was a hack against a particular wallet provider, and I don't remember which one. Maybe one of you do, but apparently, some of their integrations stored people's seeds in plain text.
Why are they storing the seed to begin with? If it's storing a seed, the whole idea is that's a one time, like that's not stored. That's your super backup in case of
You're
a
right.
big time
Yeah.
emergency.
Well, because it's a browser-based wallet, is my understanding. So
yeah,
kind of like MetaMask, but for Solana.
I have a tip for everybody listening. So without going into a ton of technical stuff, it's really important that places you trust that you do business with, where you create an account and you don't use single sign-on. So you don't click like sign on with Google or Microsoft or Facebook or whatever. So the dead giveaway, if anybody out there is listening and you ever come across a website and you have to create an account and you put in a password and you put in like a special character and it kicks back with like, hey, no special characters allowed. You should never use a website, trust that website with any of your personal information. The only reason why they do that is because they're storing your password in plain text.
Yeah.
So there's a little pro tip for everyone out there listening that's ever wondered why they say that.
Well,
why you should never use a website or a company.
That doesn't always mean it's being stored in plain text, but it's not being.
No, there's no reason. There's no reason to enforce those requirements if you're hashing.
It just means that it's very low level encryption, if any.
Yeah, if any.
Well, no, you don't encrypt passwords, you hash them. But this is more of a That's a nuance, I think.
Okay, interesting. Well, and then but in this particular case, the Solana hack, which was not a Solana hack, the Solana wallet hack. You said it was Slope. Is that what it's called, Meow?
Yeah, Slope wallet.
Okay. So it like, why were they storing them in plain text? I mean, that's
what I'm wondering.
Okay. I can actually understand why, and this is pretty damn awful. First of all, because people tend to forget their mnemonic phrases. Therefore, they try to implement the security, or not security, but backup feature, right? But the second problem which I actually don't understand, is why the fuck they kept it on a centralized server.
Yeah, that's crazy. I see here someone's used Burp Suite to man in the middle of it, so they're looking at that payload that's going across. You type in your recovery phrase, I guess, and it sends it back. It is encrypted, and we don't know if they do anything about it, but we assume they're storing it since there was a breach. So, yeah, that's wild.
And the breach was from inside of Slope, which is interesting.
So one of their employees did it. So it was likely a rogue employee then.
Hold up. Let me say one more thing, right? So in security, there's a big problem called single point of failure, right? In cybersecurity. So majority of companies, even that awful Meta, is solving this problem. They already fucked up with single point of failure several times, especially that Facebook outage is just an example, right? Just push the bad config and you fucked up everything, right? So they're trying to implement some watchdog. They're trying to implement some features to stop, right? Google even have the system which analyzes the code for like malicious or pretty bad mistakes before
the term is change management, enterprise change management.
Yeah. So what we see here is an example. It's like a textbook example of single point of failure.
Well, but I don't even think we're addressing the real issue here. So when you use a wallet, like when you use one of these web-based or browser-based wallets, and when you generate a seed from them, they always tell you, save this, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you can't recover it later.
Right? Yeah. So why were they storing them to begin with?
Yeah, you know what? I think what Meow is saying is that single point of failure here was they had a rogue developer, and that rogue developer knew that he could send that back, obfuscate it in a payload, and store it somewhere. And later, if he wanted to do something with it, he could.
That must be it. He had
it's rough, man. These big companies, enterprise change management, a big deal is code reviews. And a lot of these smaller companies just don't do it. They don't have any reason to do it. There's no, it says they have to do it. And as a user, you try like, hey, it looks good. Other people like it. You rely on the social validation that everybody else likes it, so you're going to use it. And then once they got big enough, they just got taken for a ride.
Okay, I just want to give an example here. Okay, there is like a company called SafePal. We all know it, right? And they make hardware wallets.
Yep.
I forgot a recovery phrase to my hardware wallet. And the worst part is that I lost it after the movement because I write it down and put it in safe, right? But thing is, I have no way to recover it. So that means there is no way, actual no way. You go to the website and they say the only way how you can recover it, no, fuck you, reset.
Right. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be.
They're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. But take a look at, for example, Trust Wallet, which I completely hate, to be honest. You can easily recover at any time possible, right? Just straight up.
Well, that's pretty dangerous if that's the case.
It is. It is.
Somebody needs to make a convincing argument and help me understand why I would use a hardware wallet over a paper wallet. Like that's just what I've always used is cold wallets or paper wallets, and I keep a little bit in a hot wallet, like a local hot wallet. I don't keep them in an exchange.
Well, the great part about using a hardware wallet is, I mean, it can be another security bump in between the cold wallet and your actual, what do you call them, DeFi interactions, right? So, for example, you can access a hardware wallet with MetaMask, and it's just one more security level.
Or, for example, some people use their Trezors as the security token. So when you want to log in to Binance, for example, you're required to plug it in.
No, I do use that. I use a YubiKey, Neo, which is like I keep it on my my keychain, and it's required for certain things. But it's kind of a shit's hit the fan. Everything's really bad, and I've got to be somewhere. I have to take that with me.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, for example,
I guess same idea, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
For example, with a SafePal acts like a security medium, as I would say. It's a 2FA authenticator, right? Basically, yeah, it's still on the blockchain. The money is still on the blockchain. They're not in a cold storage, right? But yeah, that's basically, if you want to make a transaction, it will require you to interact with that. So it adds a little bit of physical interaction there.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, there's always all kinds of, you know, security and, you know, technological risks too. You know, like I guess it just really, it depends on your outlook on which direction the world's going. Do you trust keeping stuff, you know, on your computer, or I don't know. I mean, everybody that I talk to has a different reason for the way that they favor storing crypto.
I was just going to say, it's interesting. I've printed them out. I've got a few envelopes in a few places that say, hey, if something happens to me, you can go get some Bitcoin by doing this, basically. But, you know, to that end, I don't have, you know, millions of dollars in Bitcoin either. So,
yeah. You know, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, and, you know, to kind of segue here, but it's like you do have to think about, for example, I mean, we took a week-long break here from the show, but in this time, obviously, you know, the war situation. We've had obviously Russia-Ukraine conflict. Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan. China threatened her, did all kinds of things. The war situation's progressing. So I think that too. I mean, can you imagine being in one of those types of areas and having crypto? I mean, what do you do? Like, you kind of want to have a couple.
Meow, what is your concern, Meow? I mean, you're in one of those types of areas, more or less.
Well,
I don't know how I would feel about it. I don't know if that would be my big concern.
I wouldn't say that I'm just one of that areas. No, I'm in a safe place, right? But problem is that my Visa and MasterCard cards are useless because, like, and the crypto is the only way how I can survive, basically.
Yeah.
So to me, crypto is really important and all the stuff. The thing about the war and all the stuff, I just want to say it again. That's like a fair warning, conflict of interest, blah blah blah. I'm Russian. It's like one part involved and other stuff, but fuck Putin. Okay,
No,
that's
well, no, look, everybody has their feelings and their personal allegiances or non-allegiances, but that doesn't the shit is still happening. So we can discuss it on that level, and it it is what it is, right?
Shit's happening. People got killed every day. Money gets laundered. Everything is fucked up. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's fucked up, but it's still a major headline news. It's something that
Yeah, totally. I just
okay, but also fuck the Ukraine and Russia. Oh, sorry, I can't say the Ukraine anymore, right? I have to say fuck Ukraine and Russia. Okay, but Nancy Pelosi tried to start World War III. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Okay.
I have a thought.
Go ahead.
We should just go do whatever the hell we want to do, and I don't care what anybody else says about it. And at the same time, we just need to stay home and not get involved everywhere else. That's talking out both sides of my mouth there. But I don't know what we're doing with sending a bunch of money to Ukraine anyway.
And weapons.
I also have no problem with us going to Taiwan if we want to. A few episodes ago, we talked about how I had no problem with Donald Trump calling the newly elected Taiwan president, and everybody flipped out over that. I mean, foreign relations are a thing. You've got to do them.
Right. But
yeah, it's I don't know. It's a complex situation, I guess.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, so see, I would be much more. I guess what bothered me is that obviously we're here funding Ukraine to the tune of billions of dollars, and you can say, oh, it's not us fighting all you want, but yes, it is. That's what a proxy war is, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. But then at the same time, it just felt odd. I feel like our current administration, they're kind of asleep at the wheel, right? Like the president's just kind of old and dopey, and so I feel like these people that have ulterior motives or something to gain are going around just stirring pots and poking their ass in places they probably don't belong, but they might have something to gain from doing it. And it's kind of like when your parents are asleep when you were a teenager and you could go cause trouble because dad's passed out, right? Like that's kind of what's going on. Joe's passed out. Let's go get some money,
The thing is, regarding everything in all this war, right? I'm standing to the rule is enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? And since I have a history of being a positioner in Russia, right? To me, that United States is helping Ukraine, right? To me personally, it's fine because it's bringing the Putin's regime closer to collapse. It's just my personal opinion. It's my political vision. Okay.
Right. So argue about it. Don't say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it." Come on.
No. Okay, I'm gonna like beer start to work and do magic, so I can start to talk about it. Okay.
I'm just giving you shit though. That's what
fuck you.
But no. The Taiwan thing. So
and regarding Taiwan, I have my opinions on that.
Well, but wait. Can we at least like here is. I'm sorry to do this to you. This is going to be our cliffhanger right here. Watch this. What the fuck is Nancy Pelosi doing in Taiwan anyway?
And you will know about it in the next episode of DegenCast.